I'm glad to hear that you're interested in medical coding, and I would be happy to share how I got into it. I kind of stumbled upon medical coding. Like a lot of people, I had no idea that this career even existed. I never knew that there was a need for a medical coder. I guess in my mind, I always knew that there was like a medical biller position because, of course, we all know about medical bills, but I just never knew that there was a separate position or a separate need for coding. So, how I ended up getting into medical coding is a very long journey, a very long story, but it started out with me pretty much always wanting to be in the medical field. When I was younger, I thought I was going to be a pediatrician. I had severe asthma as a child, and I just admired how my pediatrician handled me when I had an exacerbation of an asthma attack. I can remember one time when I was very young, my mom took me to the emergency room because I was wheezing really badly and just couldn't breathe. And my physician showed up, full blown suit and tie. I guess he came from an association meeting. He was on call, and I was well known to him because again, I had really bad asthma attacks when I was younger. And he just took one look at me and was like, she's a direct admit. My mom tells this story all the time because it just left a good impression on her that he cared so much, about her daughter. And so he came in, he was like kind of, upset that I wasn't directly admitted into the facility, I guess. And he stayed there and cared for me. At first, it was in his tuxedo, and then he eventually changed it to his scrubs and, saw me inpatient and took care of me. Like, I was so sick that I always had to be under an oxygen tent when I had these attacks, and I was always in a hospital for days. But anyhow, those times of me being in the hospital for so long left like an impression on me. I wanted to be that type of doctor for children when I became an adult, and life happened. I wasn't able to fulfill that dream. I did attend college, and went to community college to get my what I thought my prereqs out the way. I took anatomy and physiology. I took medical ethics. I took medical terminology and everything, but stuff just happened by the time I graduated from community college and was uh, supposed to go to the university. I did enroll to be pre med in the university, but I just could not finish. But I did have an extensive, I thought, knowledge in like basic medical stuff, like medical terminology and anatomy and physiology and things like that. So I decided that I wanted to be on the administrative side of healthcare. And so I just started looking for jobs that was like in healthcare administration. And I ended up stumbling upon a job in claims adjudication, and I worked that job for like 5 years. And in that job, it was basically working for the flexible spending accounts. So, like your HSA accounts, your FSA accounts. And this was when, like, they were first being introduced as a new benefit to employers and employees. And so, not a lot of people was aware of how to utilize these benefits. So there was a lot of education that had to be done to the participants to let them know that, hey, this money is pre-tax and is set aside for medical expenses only. And, in that process, I learned about how to process claims. Now, that was not related to medical billing, but because there was claims processing involved in customer service involved in being organized and all that stuff, that actually helped me to land a medical billing job. So when I moved on from the FSA job or the healthcare spending account job, my next position was in medical billing. So I applied for a position at a major hospital in our area. um, the only thing that I recognized in that job posting was working with claims. And I knew that I had this 5 years of experience adjudicating claims with this previous company. So I decided to take a shot and apply for that job. Well, the supervisor or manager there actually, you know, loved the fact that I had experience in claims, even though it wasn't directly with 1500s or UB04 forms. It was still claims adjudication. It was still heavy customer service, and it was still dealing with some sort of medical reimbursement type situations, but nowhere near medical billing. And also, I interviewed very well. And so I got that position not knowing anything about medical billing at all. I still really naively in the interview didn't realize that this was a medical billing job. I just literally thought it was similar to the job I just came from, adjudicating claims, but it wasn't. I ended up working in the workman's comp and motor vehicle part of billing. And so I did follow up with those claims. I did appeals, and I worked with a lot of claims adjusters or insurance adjusters. In doing that position, I had to, like I said, do a lot of appeals, which caused me to have to look into the medical coding book so that I can like get a description of the codes that were being billed and kind of draft up my appeals in a way that sounded like, look, we need to get paid for this because per the medical records, this is what was done in accordance to the coding book. That led me to be curious about codes and how, we come up with drafting the claims with these codes. And my supervisor took note of that, and she basically like put the ideal in my head like, you love picking up those books and you're really good at appeals. um, are you interested in coding? You should look into it. Long story short, I was interested in it. She encouraged me to find a medical coding school. I quickly Googled, medical coding programs, saw AAPC had a program, looked to see what the job outlook for medical coders was. When I was looking on job boards, most of the jobs that I was looking at was asking for a credential with AAPC. And so I thought, well, look, they're mentioning this AAPC school, so I should go to this AAPC school. So I decided that's what I was going to do. I took my whole income tax return and I paid for AAPC, got my books and everything, and took a year and a half and studied for medical coding. I did self-paced. I did not have an instructor. I did not have like a classroom to go into. I did everything online from home. I did utilize their classroom online, but I didn't have like a instructor, a live instructor to help answer questions. I just kind of had to, learn on my own, self pace, and take the test. It took me 3 tries to pass the test. So I failed the first 2 times, but I passed on the third try. I was really, really anxious about that third try because by this time, I had already transferred from the billing department to the coding department. And my supervisor had given me a year from the time that I got that position in order to obtain my certification, or I would have had to have been let go. So I finally passed on the third try with that pressure. I quickly found out that coding on the job is not the same as the classroom stuff you learn. So that was my journey.